The explosion tears through the mess hall at sunset. Fire erupts. 6 recruits trapped inside screaming. Everyone's running away except one woman. Emma Mitchell, the quiet kitchen worker. They all ignored sprints straight into the flames. No badge, no weapon. Just her bare hands and a secret buried under those long sleeves she never rolled up. In 90 seconds, the woman they mocked as just the help will become the only thing standing between Fort Bragg and total catastrophe. Before we dive in, hit that subscribe button and stay with me until the very end of this story. Drop a comment telling me what city you're watching from. I want to see how far Emma's story travels across this country. Emma's hands burned, not from heat, from the coffee pot. 40 pounds of scalding liquid, and she'd been gripping it one-handed for the past 20 seconds while Private Jensen decided whether he wanted cream or sugar. "Cream," he finally said. Emma poured, didn't spill a drop, didn't grimace, just moved to the next soldier in line. "Extra bacon." "You got it." "Toast, but not too dark." "Coming up." Her supervisor called from somewhere behind her. "Mitchell, we need more eggs out front." "On it." Emma grabbed the industrial tray, 60 pounds easy, and carried it with both hands this time. The other kitchen workers always asked how she made it look effortless. Emma never answered. She just smiled and kept moving. Because the truth was simple. 18 months ago, she'd carried a wounded teammate through 6 miles of Afghan mountains with a bullet in her own shoulder. A tray of scrambled eggs wasn't heavy. It was just breakfast. "You okay?" Sarah, the morning shift lead, touched Emma's arm. Emma realized she'd been standing at the serving station staring at nothing. "Yeah, sorry. Didn't sleep great." "You never sleep great." Sarah's voice was gentle. "You ever talk to someone about that?" "I'm fine." "Emma, I'm fine." Sarah knew better than to push. Everyone did. Emma Mitchell was polite, efficient, and completely closed off. She'd been working Fort Bragg's main mess hall for 18 months, and nobody knew a single real thing about her. That's how Emma wanted it. She served another 40 breakfasts before her mind started drifting. Back to Kandahar, back to the fire, back to dragging Rodriguez through the flames while the building collapsed around them, screaming for backup that never came. Stop. Focus. You're in North Carolina. You're safe. Except she wasn't safe. She'd never be safe. Not until she found out what happened that night. Not until she brought her team home. The breakfast rush ended. Emma was wiping down the steam tables when she heard them. Loud voices. Confident footsteps. The kind of people who expected everyone else to move aside. 4 of them entered. 3 men, 1 woman. All wearing Special Forces patches. All moving like they owned the world. Emma's stomach tightened. The lead guy, tall blonde name tag reading Harrison, surveyed the mess hall like he was inspecting a crime scene. "This is it," his voice carried across the room. "Expected more from Fort Bragg." The woman Rodriguez on her tag rolled her eyes. "Blake, we're evaluating mess operations. Relax." "I am relaxed." Blake gestured at the other 2 men. "Derek, check the supply room. Tyler, you're with me." Emma kept wiping, kept her head down. Leadership evaluation rotations happened all the time. Hotshot candidates came through, wrote their reports, left. Standard procedure. Except something felt wrong. Blake's movements were too precise. Tyler's eyes swept the room like he was clearing a hostile building. And Rodriguez, she was watching Emma. Really watching her. Emma turned away, focused on her work. "You." Emma's hand stopped mid-wipe. "Yeah, you. Long sleeves." Emma straightened slowly, made eye contact. "Can I help you?" Blake walked toward her, tablet in hand. "Name, Emma Mitchell." "How long you been here, Emma?" 18 months. Blake smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. 18 months serving eggs. Must love your job." "I do." "What's with the long sleeves?" Blake leaned on the counter. "Kitchen staff should have them rolled up. Contamination risk." Emma's pulse jumped. Just once. "Medical waiver. I can show you the paperwork if—" "Medical waiver." Blake's smile widened. "What kind of condition requires long sleeves in a 100-degree kitchen?" Emma held his stare, didn't answer. Tyler moved closer. Flanking position. Emma noticed, cataloged it. You hiding something under there? Blake's voice dropped. Bad ink track marks, Blake. Rodriguez appeared at his shoulder. That's enough. I'm conducting an evaluation, Rodriguez. Blake never looked away from Emma. Part of that is ensuring staff follows proper protocol. So here's what's happening. You're going to roll up those sleeves right now, or I'm recommending your termination. Emma's hands rested flat on the counter. Her breathing slowed. The kitchen noise around her faded to background static. You're not a superior officer, she said quietly. You're a candidate on rotation. You have no authority over civilian staff. Blake's face flushed red. What did you just say? I said no. Emma kept her voice level. You want to see my medical records, file a formal complaint, but you're not going to intimidate me because you're having a bad morning. The mess hall went silent. Tyler stepped forward. You need to watch your tone. My tone is professional. Emma's eyes moved to Tyler, then back to Blake. Which is more than I can say for yours. Blake's hand shot across the counter. Emma saw it coming, had been expecting it for the last 30 seconds. His fingers closed around her wrist. Emma rotated clockwise, minimal movement, and dropped her weight. Blake's momentum carried him forward, his elbow hyperextended. Emma's free hand found the pressure point on his tricep. Blake gasped. His knees buckled. Emma wasn't hurting him. Not yet, but they both knew she could break his arm before he took his next breath. Let go, Emma said softly. Blake released her. Emma stepped back, hands at her sides, face neutral. The whole exchange took maybe 2 seconds. Blake stumbled backward, clutching his arm. His face was white, not from pain, from shock. Tyler and Derek moved in, but Rodriguez held up a hand. Stand down. Rodriguez's voice cut through the tension. Her eyes were locked on Emma. Everyone stand down. Emma met her gaze. Two professionals recognizing each other across a crowded room. You've got training, Rodriguez said. Emma didn't answer. Where Campbell Benning? Another life. Emma turned back to her cleaning. Her hands were steady. Her heart was racing. Blake found his voice. You just assaulted a military officer. I'm having you arrested. Court-martialed. You grabbed her first. Rodriguez kept her tone neutral. In front of 40 witnesses, she defended herself with minimal force. You want to file charges, go ahead. But you'll need to explain why you physically contacted a civilian employee during a non-contact evaluation. Blake's jaw worked. Emma could see him calculating, weighing his options. This isn't over, he finally said. Yeah, it is. Rodriguez gestured to the exit. Let's move. Blake stormed out. Tyler and Derek followed. Rodriguez lingered. Nice technique. Joint manipulation. Pressure points. Where'd you really learn that? Emma wiped the counter. Said nothing. Rodriguez nodded slowly. Right. Another life. She walked away. Emma's supervisor materialized at her elbow. Mitchell, you okay? Fine. That was... I've never seen you move like that. Emma's hands kept working. He shouldn't have grabbed me. No. But Emma, you made that guy look like a fool. Special Forces candidates don't forget that kind of humiliation. I'll be careful. Maybe take the rest of the day. I've got 600 lunch orders to prep. Emma finally looked at her supervisor. I'm good. I promise. Her supervisor wanted to argue. Emma could see it. But after 18 months, she knew Emma didn't change her mind about work. Emma chopped vegetables. Her hands moved automatically while her mind raced. Blake's reaction was wrong. Not angry wrong. Something deeper. The way he'd looked at her before grabbing her wrist. The way Tyler and Derek had moved in perfect sync. The way Rodriguez had intervened with professional precision that felt rehearsed. These weren't normal candidates. Emma had spent 6 years in Delta Force. She knew how operators moved, how they talked, how they breathed. Blake and his team were good. Their covers were solid. But something was off. The tattoo on Blake's forearm, eagle and crossed arrows. Standard SF ink. But the coloring was too fresh. The placement slightly wrong. Like someone had copied it from a photograph instead of getting it done at the shops near Bragg. Emma's knife moved faster. Carrots became precise half-inch cubes. Maybe she was paranoid. 18 months of looking over her shoulder would do that. Or maybe her instincts were still sharp. The lunch rush started early. Soldiers poured through the serving line. Emma fell into rhythm. Smile. Serve. Next person. Repeat. At 11:45, the kitchen's gas alarm chirped twice. Warning light. Nothing serious. Emma's supervisor went to check. At 11:50, Blake's team returned. They came through the loading bay, not the main entrance. Emma only noticed because she'd been tracking every exit since the morning confrontation. Blake was on his phone. Tyler and Derek carried equipment cases, standard evaluation gear. But Rodriguez wasn't with them. Emma set down her serving spoon, walked toward the prep area, casual, unhurried. "Mitchell, where you going?" "Bathroom, 5 minutes." Emma pushed through the swinging door. The loading bay was around the corner past storage. She moved quietly, stayed close to the wall. Blake's voice carried through the metal corridor. Confirmed. Tattoo was definitely EOD. The way she moved, textbook manipulation. Has to be her. Emma's blood turned to ice. EOD. Explosive ordnance disposal. They knew her specialty. Tyler's voice. "So what's the play?" "Direct action. If she's here, others might be too. We clear the entire facility." Rodriguez. "Eliminating external security now. 12-minute window before shift change." Emma's tactical mind kicked into overdrive. They knew she'd served. They were here for her specifically. They were about to clear the facility. Clear meant kill. Emma spun and ran back to the mess hall. The lunch rush was at peak. 300 soldiers in the dining area, another 100 in line. She burst through the kitchen door. "Gas leak." Emma's voice was calm, absolute. "Major pressure spike. Everyone evacuate, right now." Her supervisor turned. "Mitchell, the alarm only. Trust me." Something in Emma's eyes made the decision. Her supervisor hit the evacuation alarm. The buzzer cut through the noise. Soldiers looked up, confused. This wasn't a drill day. "Everyone out," Emma's supervisor shouted. "Main exits move." Military discipline took over. The soldiers moved in organized lines. No panic, just training. Emma ran to the kitchen's main gas shutoff and closed it, then grabbed a fire extinguisher from the wall. Blake appeared in the loading bay doorway. Saw Emma. Saw the evacuation. His hand moved to his waist. Emma threw the fire extinguisher. 40 pounds of steel flew in a perfect arc. Blake dove sideways. The extinguisher crashed through the doorway behind him. Emma vaulted the prep counter and hit the emergency override, the panic button that locked all entrances and activated sprinklers. Water erupted from the ceiling. Blake rolled to his feet. Weapon drawn, not military issue. Something foreign. "You shouldn't have run," Blake shouted. "We would have made it quick." Emma grabbed a prep knife from the magnetic strip. 8 inches of carbon steel. Not ideal. Better than nothing. "Who sent you?" "Does it matter?" Blake's smile was cold. "Your team's dead. Nobody's coming." Tyler appeared behind him, also armed. Emma backed toward the industrial stoves. Calculated trajectories, cover angles, escape routes. She was outgunned, outpositioned, but not done yet. "They're not dead," Emma said. Blake laughed. "The Kandahar safe house, 18 months ago. Bad intelligence. 13 operators went in. 0 came out." Emma's vision narrowed. Her grip on the knife turned her knuckles white. Those weren't just operators. They were her family. Rodriguez with his terrible jokes. Chen, who taught her Mandarin. Williams, who'd saved her life in Baghdad. 13 people she'd trusted with her life. Gone. Except, you're lying. "Am I?" Blake raised his weapon. "Why do you think you're here? Why are you hiding in this kitchen because you're the only one who survived? The only loose end?" Tyler moved into position. "Nothing personal." Emma twisted the burner valve. Gas hissed into the water-soaked air. Not enough to ignite yet. The wet air was a buffer, but enough to create a cloud. "You made a mistake," Emma said. "What's that?" "You told me where my team is." Emma tore her sleeve. Black ink spiraled up her forearm. Numbers, symbols, a record of every bomb she'd ever disarmed. 847 successful disposals. And at the bottom added 3 weeks ago coordinates. Blake's eyes widened. "That's not—" Emma struck the knife against the stovetop. Sparks flew, the gas ignited. Not an explosion, a flash that turned the kitchen into a wall of flame between Emma and her attackers. Blake and Tyler stumbled back, arms over their faces. Emma dove through the swinging door into the dining hall. Maybe 30 soldiers still evacuating. Young recruit turned toward her. "Ma'am, you need to keep moving. Don't stop." Emma grabbed his radio, switched to emergency frequency. "Base command, this is Emma Mitchell, civilian contractor at main mess facility. Armed hostiles inside, special operations imposters, at least 3 combatants, requesting immediate response." Static. Then, "This is Colonel Daniel Reynolds, base commander." Say again, "Armed hostiles." "Affirmative, sir. Russian accent on primary hostile. Professional operators. They're here for me, but they're willing to take down the entire facility. I've initiated evacuation, but—" An explosion cut her off. Not inside. Outside. Emma saw it through the windows. The East Gate security checkpoint erupting in flame. The guard booth disintegrating. Blake and Tyler burst through the kitchen door. Weapons up. The remaining soldiers scattered. Emma dove behind a table, still holding the radio. Gunfire. 3-round bursts. Professional. The table next to Emma exploded in splinters. "Mitchell," Blake's voice. "You're making this harder. We've set charges throughout this building. You run, everyone dies. You surrender. Maybe we let them live." Emma's mind raced. Charges. Throughout the building. They'd spent the morning planting explosives while disguised as evaluators, and Emma had just locked all the exits. She'd trapped everyone inside a bomb. "What do you want?" Emma shouted. "Information. The location of your team. They're alive, and we need to know where—" Emma looked at her forearm. The coordinates tattooed 3 weeks ago, when she'd finally gotten confirmation, when she'd learned her family wasn't dead, that they were prisoners, that she had one chance to bring them home. She'd been planning to disappear tonight, to cash in every favor and go after them alone. But if these people knew about Kandahar, if they'd been hunting survivors, then they weren't random operatives. They were the same organization that set the trap 18 months ago, which meant they knew things Emma didn't. "Okay." Emma's voice was steady. "Okay. I'll tell you. Just let these people go." Blake emerged from cover, weapon aimed at her center mass. "Information first. Can't tell you if I'm dead. 30 seconds before I detonate anyway." Emma stood slowly, hands visible. The knife was gone. Tyler flanked her other side. Professional tactics. Blake kept his weapons steady. "Where are they?" Emma's eyes moved to the windows, to the smoke rising from the destroyed checkpoint, to the soldiers scattered outside. Colonel Reynolds would be mobilizing response teams. But this wasn't a combat zone. This was Fort Bragg on a Tuesday afternoon. Security might take 5 minutes to gear up. Emma didn't have 5 minutes. "The coordinates are on my arm," Emma said. "Under the tattoo, UV ink. You need a black light." Blake's eyes narrowed. "Show me." Emma pushed her sleeve up, revealed the full tattoo. 847 disposals, each number representing a life saved, a bomb defused, a disaster prevented. Blake moved closer, leaned in. Emma counted his breaths, watched his pupils dilate, calculated the exact moment his focus shifted from threat to information. Then she broke his nose with her forehead. Blood erupted. Blake stumbled. Emma caught his gun hand twisted, struck his elbow. The weapon clattered away. Tyler fired twice. Emma was already moving, using Blake's body as a shield. Both rounds hit Blake in the back. He gasped, went limp. Emma threw 200 pounds of dead weight at Tyler. He tried to sidestep, wasn't fast enough. Blake's body caught his legs, Tyler went down. Emma dove for Blake's weapon, came up shooting. One round, center mass. Tyler jerked once, stopped moving. Emma stood there, weapon raised, breathing hard. 2 down, 2 more somewhere in this building, and enough explosives to level the structure. Emma keyed the radio. Colonel Reynolds, 2 hostiles neutralized, at least 2 active. Building is rigged. Need bomb disposal now. Reynolds' voice crackled. Mitchell's security team is 3 minutes out. Can you locate the charges? Negative. They had access everywhere during evaluation. Emma moved through the mess hall, checking corners, clearing sight lines. 6 years of muscle memory taking over. She found Derek in the storage room. He was unconscious, hands zip-tied, blood on his temple. Rodriguez stood over him, holding his weapon. She looked at Emma. Emma looked at her. I'm not with them, Rodriguez said. Then why'd you come in with them? Deep cover, 6 months. They're targeting Kandahar survivors. Rodriguez gestured at Derek. He's the real evaluator. They intercepted him this morning. I couldn't break cover without blowing 18 months of work. Emma kept her weapon steady. Prove it. Rodriguez slowly reached into her pocket, pulled out a badge. Federal. Counterintelligence. Agent Ashley Rodriguez, Defense Intelligence Agency. I've been tracking this cell since Germany. They're connected to Kandahar. They want survivor locations because your team acquired intelligence that night. Something worth killing for. Emma's tactical mind processed, evaluated. The badge looked real. Rodriguez's body language read honest. She'd had opportunities to kill Emma, hadn't taken them, still. What intelligence? We don't know. That's what we're trying to figure out. We didn't find anything. Routine extraction. We walked into an ambush. Then why are they still hunting you? I don't... The building shook. Not from explosion. From heavy vehicles outside. Through the windows, Emma saw them. Military police, security teams, bomb disposal, and leading them walking with absolute authority, Colonel Daniel Reynolds. Silver hair, military cut, ribbons on his chest telling decades of combat. He walked straight through the entrance, past armed security, into the destroyed mess hall, saw Emma in her kitchen whites, holding a weapon, covered in blood, saw Rodriguez with her badge, saw the bodies. Reynolds stopped. His eyes moved from the scene to Emma's face, then down to her arm where the sleeve had fallen. He saw the tattoo. His entire posture changed. Emma Mitchell. His voice was quiet, respectful. Delta Force, 847 successful disposals. Kandahar survivor. Emma didn't lower her weapon. Sir. Reynolds looked at Rodriguez. Agent Rodriguez, DIA. Got your alert 15 minutes ago. Had to maintain cover until the last moment. Rodriguez gestured at the destruction. Mitchell handled it. Reynolds turned back to Emma. His expression was complicated. Respect, confusion, something deeper. Ma'am. He spoke formally. On behalf of this base, I owe you an apology. And based on what I'm seeing, I owe you significantly more than that. Emma finally lowered her weapon. Her hands started shaking. Adrenaline crash beginning. Sir, the building's rigged. We need disposal techs inside immediately. Already on it. Reynolds gestured to his teams. But first, why were foreign operatives targeting my mess hall? Why you specifically? Emma opened her mouth. The building's fire alarm cut her off. Not from the earlier kitchen fire. Something new. Something in the basement. Rodriguez's face went white. The gas lines. They didn't just plant charges. They sabotaged the entire system. Emma felt it then. The subtle pressure change. The smell underneath the water and smoke. She'd disarmed 847 bombs in her career. She knew what a building felt like right before it exploded. Run, Emma said. Reynolds started to speak. Run. Emma grabbed Reynolds' arm and pulled. Rodriguez grabbed Derek. They ran for the main exit. Behind them, the building groaned, metal twisted. Gas lines ruptured fully. They were 20 feet from the door when Emma heard it. The distinctive click hiss of a pressure trigger releasing. She had maybe 2 seconds. Emma shoved Reynolds through the doorway, saw Rodriguez dive through with Derek, saw security teams scrambling for cover. Then the world turned white. The explosion lifted Emma off her feet. She felt herself flying backward, felt the heat wash over her, felt the percussion waves slam into her chest like a freight train. She hit the ground hard. Her head bounced off concrete, her vision blurred. Through the ringing in her ears, she heard screaming, shouting, orders being barked. Emma tried to sit up. Couldn't. Her body wasn't responding. Someone grabbed her shoulders, pulled her further from the building. Stay down. A voice, male, urgent. Mitchell, stay down. Emma's vision cleared slightly. She saw Reynolds above her. His face was cut, bleeding, but he was alive. The recruits, Emma tried to say. Her voice came out as a whisper. Did everyone's out. Reynolds' voice was firm, grounding. You evacuated them in time. You saved them all. Emma's eyes slid closed, not from unconsciousness, from relief. 13 people had died in Kandahar because she'd failed to see the trap. But today she'd saved 300. It wasn't enough. It would never be enough. But it was something. Ma'am, Reynolds' voice pulled her back. Emma, stay with me. Medics are coming. Emma forced her eyes open, focused on Reynolds' face. My team, she whispered. They're alive. I know where they are. Reynolds' expression shifted. What were Kandahar? They didn't die. They were taken. I've been planning extraction for 3 weeks. Emma's hand moved to her tattooed forearm. The coordinates. They're prisoners. I have 72 hours before they're moved to a black site. Reynolds stared at her, processing. How do you know this? Because 3 weeks ago, Rodriguez, not her, he got a message out. One word. Eagle. Our call sign. He's alive. They're all alive. Emma tried to sit up again. This time she managed it. Her head spun, but she stayed conscious. I'm going after them, she said. Tonight. With or without authorization. Reynolds was quiet for a long moment. Then he did something Emma didn't expect. He smiled. Ma'am, he said slowly, I think we need to have a very long conversation. But first, let's get you to medical. I don't need... That wasn't a request. Reynolds' voice hardened. You just took down 2 foreign operatives, saved 300 soldiers, and survived a building explosion. You're going to medical. You're going to let them check you out. And then you and I are going to talk about your team. Emma wanted to argue, but her body was shutting down. The adrenaline was gone. The crash was hitting hard. 72 hours, she said as medics arrived. That's all I have. Reynolds nodded. I know, and I'm going to help you. Emma's eyes widened. Sir. 13 Delta operators don't just disappear, Reynolds said quietly. If they're alive, we bring them home. That's the deal. That's always been the deal. Emma felt something she hadn't felt in 18 months. Hope. The medics lifted her onto a stretcher. As they carried her toward the ambulance, Emma caught sight of Agent Rodriguez standing by a security vehicle. Their eyes met. Rodriguez nodded once, a gesture of respect. Emma nodded back. Then the ambulance doors closed, and Emma let herself drift. Behind her, Fort Bragg's main mess hall was a smoking crater. 2 Russian operatives were dead, a 3rd was in custody, and a DIA investigation was about to crack open an international conspiracy that had started with a fire in Kandahar 18 months ago. But Emma didn't know any of that yet. All she knew was that her team was alive, and in 72 hours she was going to bring them home, or die trying. The hospital lights hurt Emma's eyes. She'd been staring at the ceiling for 20 minutes while a doctor stitched up her forehead. 7 stitches. Could have been worse. Should have been worse. You're lucky, the doctor said. Concussion's mild. No internal bleeding. You'll be sore for a week, but when can I leave? The doctor paused mid-stitch. Miss Mitchell, you were just in an explosion. I know, I was there. Emma tried to sit up. When can I leave? 24 hours minimum for observation. I don't have 24 hours. The doctor looked at her like she was crazy. Maybe she was. But Emma had spent 18 months being crazy, being obsessed, being the woman who couldn't let go. Because she'd known. Deep in her gut, she'd known her team wasn't dead. Miss Mitchell. It's just Emma, and I'm leaving. Emma swung her legs off the exam table. Her head spun. She ignored it. You can either discharge me or I walk out AMA. Your choice. The doctor opened his mouth to argue. Colonel Reynolds walked through the door. Give us the room, doctor. The doctor looked between them, sighed. 10 minutes. Then she needs rest. He left. Reynolds closed the door, stood there for a moment, just looking at Emma. You should stay, he finally said. Can't. 72 hours, you said. It's been 3. That gives you 69. Reynolds pulled up a chair, sat down like he had all day. So let's talk. Start from the beginning. Kandahar. Emma's jaw tightened. That's classified. I have clearance for everything you have clearance for, plus about 6 levels you don't. Reynolds' voice was gentle, but firm. And right now, Emma, I'm the only person in this entire base who believes you. So talk to me. Emma studied his face, the ribbons on his chest, the weathered lines around his eyes. This was a man who'd seen combat, real combat, not the sanitized version they showed on recruitment videos. 18 months ago, Emma said slowly, my team was running extraction in Kandahar. Low-level informant, routine op, in and out in 40 minutes. But the informant was a plant. The safe house was rigged. We walked into an ambush. Emma's hands clenched into fists. 13 of us went in. The building went up in flames. I got out through a basement window. Dragged my Rodriguez halfway out before the second explosion hit. Reynolds leaned forward. You said he's alive. 3 weeks ago, I got a message. Encrypted. Old protocol we used in the field. One word Eagle. That was my call sign. Emma pulled up her sleeve, showed the coordinates tattooed on her forearm. These came with the message. A location in Syria, near the Turkish border. You verify it. Best I could. Satellite imagery shows a compound, unmarked, heavy security. Could be a prison, could be a trap. Emma met his eyes. But it's the only lead I've had in 18 months, so yeah, I'm going. Tonight. Reynolds was quiet for a long moment. Then he reached into his jacket and pulled out a tablet. Agent Ashley Rodriguez sent me her preliminary report while you were in surgery. He turned the tablet toward Emma. The 2 operatives you killed were Russian GRU, military intelligence. The cell's been operating in Europe and the Middle East for the past 2 years, targeting American Special Operations personnel. Emma took the tablet, scanned the report. Her blood ran cold. 17 confirmed kills. All former Delta SEAL Team 6 or Special Activities Division. All killed in circumstances that looked like accidents. Car crashes, training mishaps, suicides. They're hunting us, Emma whispered. They're eliminating witnesses, Reynolds corrected. Whatever your team found in Kandahar, it's big enough to justify a multi-year assassination campaign. We didn't find anything. Then they think you did. Reynolds took the tablet back. Which means your team's alive because someone wants information from them. Information they think you have too. Emma's mind raced. Rodriguez had been the team lead. Williams handled communications. Chen was their translator. If anyone had found something worth dying for, it would have been one of them. I need to get them out, Emma said. Agreed, but not alone. Not like this. Reynolds stood. I'm mobilizing a full extraction team. Delta operators, air support, intelligence assets. We do this right. That'll take weeks. Approval chains. Authorization. Politics. Emma shook her head. I told you 72 hours. After that, they're moved to a black site and we'll never find them. Then we have 72 hours. Emma stared at him. You're serious? Emma, 13 American operators are being held prisoner. You think I'm going to let bureaucracy kill them? Reynolds' voice hardened. I've been doing this job for 30 years. I know how to cut through red tape when lives are on the line. This could end your career. Probably. Reynolds smiled grimly. But I didn't join the army to play it safe. I joined to bring people home. Emma felt something crack inside her chest. The wall she'd built over 18 months. The isolation. The loneliness. Someone believed her. Someone was going to help. Thank you, she whispered. Reynolds nodded. Don't thank me yet. We've still got to plan this operation. And you're not going anywhere until that doctor clears you. Colonel. That's an order, Mitchell. Reynolds headed for the door. I'll be back in 2 hours with the planning team. Rest, eat something, get your head straight. He left. Emma sat there on the exam table, alone with her thoughts. 72 hours. She'd been planning this for 3 weeks. Solo infiltration, minimal gear, in and out before anyone noticed. It was a suicide mission. She'd known that from the start, but it was the only way. Except now she had help. Real help. Professional help. Which meant her team actually had a chance. Emma looked down at her tattooed forearm. Traced the numbers with her finger. The coordinates Rodriguez had sent. The last communication from a dead man. Except he wasn't dead. None of them were dead. Emma closed her eyes. Let herself remember. Rodriguez teaching her how to defuse a pressure plate IED while under fire in Fallujah. Williams staying up all night to help her study for her demolition certification. Chen sharing photos of his daughter's first birthday party while they waited for extraction in the Hindu Kush. Her family. I'm coming, Emma whispered to the empty room. I swear to God I'm coming. Someone knocked on the door. Emma looked up. Come in. Agent Rodriguez, Ashley Rodriguez, entered. She'd changed out of her combat fatigues into civilian clothes. Jeans, t-shirt. She looked younger without the military bearing. Tired. How you feeling? Ashley asked. Like I got blown up. Yeah, that tracks. Ashley pulled up the chair Reynolds had vacated. I wanted to apologize for this morning. For not intervening sooner. You were maintaining cover. I was protecting an investigation over protecting you. That was wrong. Ashley leaned forward. I've been tracking this GRU cell for 18 months. Same amount of time you've been hiding in that kitchen. I thought if I stayed close, I could identify their network. Roll up the whole operation. Did you? We got Blake's phone, Tyler's laptop. Derek, the real Derek, had a partial list of targets in his vehicle. Ashley's expression darkened. Emma, they have a kill list. 47 names. Former special operations. All connected to missions in Afghanistan and Syria between 2020 and 2024. Emma's stomach dropped. How many are dead? 17 confirmed. 8 more died in circumstances we're now reinvestigating. The rest are in hiding or don't know they're being hunted. We need to warn them. Already on it. FBI is coordinating protection details. But Emma, Ashley hesitated. Your name's on that list. You've been a target for 18 months. They sent their best team to Fort Bragg specifically to find you. They found me. They found a kitchen worker. They didn't expect to find an active threat. Ashley almost smiled. Blake underestimated you. Cost him his life. Emma thought about the moment Blake had grabbed her wrist. The surprise in his eyes when she'd countered. The fear. He knew my specialty, Emma said. EOD, he identified my tattoo. That means they have detailed intelligence on Kandahar survivors. Which brings us to the bigger question. Ashley pulled out her own tablet. What did your team find? I told Reynolds we didn't find anything. Emma, 17 people are dead because of Kandahar. Your entire team is being held prisoner. The GRU is running a multi-year assassination campaign. This isn't about routine extraction gone wrong. This is about something worth killing for. Emma wanted to argue, but Ashley was right. She'd spent 18 months asking herself the same question. What did we miss? What did we see that got everyone killed? The informant, Emma said slowly. He told us he had information about a weapons cache, Russian-made, high-grade explosives and anti-aircraft systems. We thought he was just another local trying to make a quick buck selling intel. Where was the cache? He never told us. Said he'd only reveal the location in person. That's why we went to the safe house. Emma's hands clenched. It was a trap. The informant wasn't real. The weapons cache wasn't real. We walked into an ambush. Ashley was quiet for a moment. What if the cache was real? Emma looked up. What? What if the informant was legit? What if the weapons cache existed and someone else didn't want you to find it? Ashley leaned forward. Think about it. You show up to extract an informant. The building explodes. Everyone dies. Official story is bad intelligence and tragic accident. Case closed. But we didn't all die. Right. Which means someone knows you survived, knows your team survived, and they're spending massive resources to make sure you never talk about what you saw. Emma's mind was racing. We didn't see anything. We were in that safe house for maybe 3 minutes before it went up. 3 minutes is a long time in combat. Think, Emma. What did you see? Who was there? Was there anything unusual? Emma closed her eyes, forced herself back. The safe house, 2 stories, concrete walls, minimal furniture. They'd entered through the front door. Rodriguez had cleared the first floor. Williams and Chen went upstairs. Emma had stayed near the entrance with Thompson and Garcia. Emma's eyes snapped open. There were photos. What? On the wall, in the entrance hallway. Photos of men. Maybe 8 or 9 of them. I noticed because they all wore military uniforms. Different countries. Different eras. Emma's heart was pounding. I thought it was weird. Who hangs military photos in a safe house? Ashley was typing on her tablet. Can you describe them? Not well. I only saw them for a few seconds before Rodriguez called us upstairs. Emma pressed her fingers to her temples. Wait, one of them. He was wearing a Russian officer's uniform. Modern. Maybe from the last 10 years. He was standing in front of a military transport vehicle. Anything else medals, unit, insignia? Wait. Emma's memory sharpened. There was a building behind him, white, with a red crescent moon painted on the side, like a hospital. Ashley's fingers stopped moving. Her face went pale. What? Emma asked. Ashley turned her tablet around, showed Emma a photo. A white building, red crescent moon, Russian military vehicles parked outside. This building. Emma's breath caught. Yes, that's it. Where is that near? Northern Syria, about 40 miles from where your team's being held. Ashley's voice was tight. Emma, this is a Russian field hospital, completely off books, doesn't exist in any official capacity. We only found it 6 months ago through satellite imagery. What's it used for? We don't know, but intelligence suggests it's connected to chemical weapons development. Ashley looked up. Emma, if your informant was trying to tell you about a weapons cache near that hospital and someone wanted to stop him, then we walked into something bigger than arms trafficking. Emma felt sick. We walked into a chemical weapons program. Ashley nodded slowly. Which would explain why the GRU is so desperate to eliminate witnesses. Chemical weapons programs violate every international treaty. If word got out that Russia was developing them in Syria, it would be an international incident. It would be war. They sat in silence for a moment. Emma's mind was reeling. 18 months. 18 months she'd thought her team died because of bad luck, bad intelligence, wrong place, wrong time. But it wasn't bad luck. It was murder. Calculated, intentional, political murder. I'm going to kill them, Emma said quietly. Ashley looked at her. Who? Whoever ordered the hit. Whoever's running that hospital. Whoever decided my team was acceptable collateral damage. Emma's voice was ice cold. I'm going to find them, and I'm going to end them. Emma, they took my family. They tried to kill me. They've been hunting survivors for 18 months. Emma stood. Her legs were shaky, but she stayed upright. I'm done hiding. I'm done running. It's time they learned what happens when you back a Delta operator into a corner. Ashley stood too. You can't do this alone. I'm not alone. I've got Reynolds. I've got you. I've got... The door opened. Colonel Reynolds walked in. Behind him were 4 people in tactical gear. Delta operators from the patches on their shoulders. Emma Mitchell, Reynolds said formally. I'd like you to meet your extraction team. The first operator stepped forward. Female, early 30s, scar running down her left cheek. Captain Sarah Chen, she said. Demolitions. The second operator, male, 40s, built like a tank. Master Sergeant Marcus Williams, communications. Emma's heart stopped. Williams? She whispered. Williams smiled. Different, Williams. But I've heard stories about yours, good operator. The third stepped forward, young, maybe late 20s. Lieutenant James Thompson, medical. The fourth didn't step forward, just nodded from the back. Sergeant First Class Maria Garcia, sniper. Emma looked at Reynolds. You used their names. Not a coincidence. Reynolds' expression was grim. These four volunteered specifically for this mission. They all served with members of your team. They all lost friends in Kandahar, and they all want to bring them home. Chen spoke. Rodriguez saved my life in Baghdad. I owe him. Williams. Your Williams trained me at Fort Bragg. Best comm specialist I ever met. Thompson. I served with Thompson, your Thompson, for 2 years. He was a good man. Garcia finally spoke. I heard what you did today. How you took down 2 GRU operatives with a kitchen knife and a fire extinguisher. She smiled. It wasn't friendly. It was the smile of a predator recognizing another predator. That's Delta as hell. I'm in. Emma felt tears burning behind her eyes. She forced them back. Thank you, she managed. Reynolds gestured to the door. Conference rooms set up. We've got satellite imagery intel reports and exactly 68 hours to plan an operation that would normally take 3 weeks. He looked at Emma. Doctor cleared you for light duty, not combat. But I figure you're going anyway, so you might as well help us plan. Emma almost laughed. Light duty. I'm serious, Mitchell. You're in no condition. Colonel, with all due respect, I've been planning this extraction for 3 weeks. I know that compound better than anyone. I know Rodriguez's emergency protocols. I know how he thinks. Emma met his eyes. You need me. Not just as an advisor, as an operator. Reynolds looked at Chen. Captain. Chen studied Emma. She took a concussion 3 hours ago. I'm fine. She's covered in cuts and bruises. I've operated in worse condition. She's emotionally compromised. This is her team we're rescuing. Which means I'm more motivated than anyone else in this room. Chen smiled slightly. She's also Delta, which means she's too stubborn to listen to common sense. She looked at Reynolds. I want her on the team, sir, if she can pass a combat fitness evaluation. Done, Emma said immediately. Reynolds sighed. You're all insane. You know that? That's why we're Delta, sir, Garcia said. They headed for the door. Ashley touched Emma's arm. Emma, wait. The others kept walking. Emma turned back. What is it? Ashley's expression was conflicted. I need to tell you something about the compound. Emma's stomach tightened. What? We've been monitoring it for 3 weeks, ever since you got that message. Satellite surveillance, signal intelligence, the works. Ashley hesitated. Emma, the compound is a black site. Russian military intelligence. They use it for high-value prisoners. I know. That's why. There are 23 prisoners currently being held there, based on thermal imaging and movement patterns. Ashley's voice dropped. Emma, your team was 13 people. There are 23 prisoners. That means there are 10 others. Emma went still. Who? We don't know. Could be other special operations personnel. Could be intelligence assets. Could be political prisoners. Ashley met her eyes. Emma, when you go in there, you're not just extracting your team. You're potentially extracting 23 people from a Russian black site. That changes everything. How? Manpower, equipment, extraction logistics, transportation, medical care. Ashley ticked off items on her fingers. You'd need at least 3 helicopters, multiple support teams, a secure location for immediate debrief and medical triage. This isn't a quick in and out anymore. This is a full-scale assault. Emma felt the weight of it settling on her shoulders. 23 people, 23 lives depending on a plan she'd been developing in her head while serving breakfast eggs. We can do it, Emma said. Emma, we can do it. We have to do it. Emma's voice hardened. Because if we don't, those 23 people stay in that hole forever. My team stays there, and everyone who died in Kandahar died for nothing. Ashley was quiet for a moment. Then she nodded. Okay. Then let's go plan an impossible mission. They walked down the corridor together. Emma's head was pounding. Her body ached. She probably shouldn't be walking, let alone planning a military operation. But she'd spent 18 months in a kitchen. 18 months hiding. 18 months being invisible. She was done being invisible. The conference room was packed. Delta operators, intelligence analysts, a Navy SEAL liaison, an Air Force combat controller, even a CIA officer Emma recognized from her Kandahar days. Reynolds stood at the front. Behind him was a massive screen showing satellite imagery of the compound. All right, people, listen up. Reynolds' voice cut through the chatter. 68 hours from now, we're hitting a Russian black site in northern Syria. Primary objective, extract 13 American prisoners. Secondary objective, gather intelligence on Russian chemical weapons development. Tertiary objective, don't start World War III. Nervous laughter rippled through the room. This operation is unauthorized, unsanctioned, and completely off books. Which means if it goes wrong, Washington will deny everything, and we'll all be having a very uncomfortable conversation with military prosecutors. Reynolds let that sink in. Anyone who wants out, leave now. No judgment, no consequences. Nobody moved. Reynolds smiled. Good, because we're going to need every single one of you. He gestured at Emma. This is Emma Mitchell, former Delta, EOD specialist, Kandahar survivor. She's been inside Russian black sites before. She knows the layout, she knows the protocols, and most importantly, she knows the prisoners we're extracting. Emma stepped forward. Her legs were steadier now. Adrenaline was kicking in. The familiar pre-mission rush. The compound has 3 buildings, Emma said, pointing at the screen. Main structure is 2 stories, reinforced concrete. That's where they'll keep high-value prisoners. Secondary building is barracks for guards. 20 to 30 personnel based on vehicle count. Third building is administration and communications. Chen leaned forward. Security. Perimeter fence. 12 feet. Electrified. Guard towers at each corner. Motion sensors on the main approaches. Cameras covering all entry points. Emma traced the compound's layout with her finger. Standard Russian military protocol. They're not expecting an assault, but they're prepared for one. Williams, the new Williams, spoke up. What about internal security, once we're inside? That's where it gets complicated. Emma pulled up a schematic. Each floor has a separate security checkpoint, biometric locks, armed guards at regular intervals. Prisoners are kept in cells that require 2-man authorization to open. Garcia whistled low. You're describing a fortress. I'm describing a prison designed to hold trained operators who desperately want to escape. Emma met her eyes. Which is why we're not going through the front door. Reynolds smiled. I was hoping you'd say that. Emma pulled up another image. Underground tunnel system running beneath the compound. There's a drainage system. Connects to the main building's basement. It's how they dispose of waste and manage water flow during the rainy season. Emma zoomed in on a specific access point. This grate is 300 meters east of the compound. It's monitored but not heavily. If we can breach it quietly, we can get inside without triggering primary security. Thompson studied the map. How do you know about the tunnels? Emma's expression went cold. Because 18 months ago, that's how I escaped from a burning building in Kandahar. Russian black sites all follow the same design, same architect, same specifications, same weaknesses. The room went quiet. So we go in through the basement, Chen said. Extract prisoners. Get out the way we came in. Not quite. Emma switched to a different view. The cells are on the 2nd floor. We'd need to move 23 prisoners through the building, down 2 flights of stairs, through the basement and into the tunnels, all while avoiding guards, cameras, and security checkpoints. That's impossible, someone muttered. Emma smiled. That's why we're going to blow the building. Every head in the room turned toward her. Reynolds raised an eyebrow. Explain. I'm EOD. Explosives are my specialty. Emma's fingers flew across the tablet. We plant charges at key structural points. Basement supports. 1st floor load-bearing walls. Communication hub. When we're ready to extract, we trigger a controlled demolition. The building comes down. Chaos everywhere. Guards scrambling. Security systems offline. Perfect cover for 23 people to disappear into the tunnels. Garcia leaned back. That's actually brilliant. That's also incredibly dangerous, Williams countered. One miscalculation, and we bring the building down on top of the prisoners. I don't miscalculate. Emma's voice was flat. 847 successful disposals. 0 failures. I know what I'm doing. Chen looked at Reynolds. Sir. Reynolds studied Emma for a long moment, then nodded. We use Mitchell's plan, but we need redundancies. Backup extraction routes. Alternate exfil points. If the demolition goes wrong, I want every operator in that compound to have at least 3 ways out. Agreed, Emma said. For the next hour, they hammered out details, entry points, equipment lists, timing, communication protocols, contingency plans for every possible disaster. Emma found herself falling into the familiar rhythm. The pre-mission planning, the careful consideration of every variable, the professional respect of operators who knew their job and did it well. She'd missed this. God, she'd missed this. Around midnight, Reynolds called a break. Everyone get some sleep. We brief again at 0600. Wheels up at 1800. The room emptied. Emma stayed behind, staring at the satellite imagery. Chen walked over, stood beside her. You okay? Emma didn't answer. It's okay to be scared, Chen said quietly. I'm not scared. Yeah, you are. I can see it. Chen's voice was gentle. This is your family we're going after. That's terrifying. Emma's hands clenched into fists. What if we're wrong? What if that message wasn't from Rodriguez? What if this is another trap? Then we spring the trap and kill everyone inside. Emma looked at her. Chen's expression was completely serious. I mean it, Chen said. Emma, you spent 18 months mourning your team, hiding in a kitchen, giving up everything you were. If there's even a 1% chance they're alive, we take it. That's the deal. That's what we do. Emma felt the tears coming. This time she didn't stop them. I failed them, she whispered. In Kandahar. I was supposed to clear that entrance. I was supposed to check for explosives. I missed something, and 13 people paid for my mistake. No. Chen's voice turned hard. 13 people walked into an ambush that was designed by professionals who knew exactly what they were doing. You didn't fail. You survived, and now you're going back for them. Emma wiped her eyes. What if I can't save them? Then you die trying, just like they would for you. They stood there in silence. Finally, Chen put a hand on Emma's shoulder. Get some rest, Mitchell. Tomorrow, we go to war. She left. Emma stayed in the conference room, staring at the compound, counting guard towers, measuring distances, calculating blast radii. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. Emma almost didn't answer. Then she saw the message. 3 words. Eagle is waiting. Emma's heart stopped. That was Rodriguez's voice, his phrasing, his call sign confirmation. She typed back, Eagle is coming. The response was immediate, hurry. Then nothing. Emma sat down hard. Her hands were shaking. Rodriguez was alive. He was waiting. And in 67 hours, Emma was going to bring him home, or die trying. Emma didn't sleep. She spent the next 6 hours in the armory checking equipment, testing charges, running calculations in her head until the numbers blurred together. Chen found her at 0530, surrounded by C4 detonators and hand-drawn blast diagrams. You've been here all night. Couldn't sleep. Emma didn't look up from her work. These charges need to be perfect. One miscalculation and you'll adjust on site, like you always do. Chen sat down across from her. Emma, you need rest. Your body's still recovering from... My body's fine. Your body took an explosion yesterday. I've taken worse. Emma finally looked up. Her eyes were red-rimmed. Chen, I got a message last night. From Rodriguez. He said hurry. Chen went still. You're sure it was him? Positive. He used our authentication protocol, the one only our team knew. Emma's hands were shaking. He's running out of time. They all are. Then we don't waste another second. Chen stood. Come on. Briefing starts in 30 minutes. You need food and coffee before we wheels up. The mess hall was mostly empty. Emma grabbed coffee and forced down some toast. It tasted like cardboard. Everything tasted like cardboard when your mind was somewhere else. Garcia joined them. Heard you were up all night. Word travels fast. Delta community's small. Everyone knows everyone's business. Garcia dumped 3 sugars in her coffee. I also heard you got confirmation your team's alive. Emma nodded. Good. Garcia's expression was fierce. Because I've been waiting 18 months to put Russian intelligence officers in the ground. Today I finally get my chance. Williams and Thompson arrived together. Williams carried a laptop. Thompson had medical bags slung over both shoulders. Communications package is ready, Williams said. Encrypted sat phones for everyone, backup radios, signal jammers in case we need to go dark. Thompson dropped his bags. Medical supplies for 23 people, trauma kits, antibiotics, IV fluids. If they've been held for 18 months, they'll need immediate care. Emma felt something twist in her chest. 18 months. Her team had been prisoners for 18 months, tortured, interrogated, living in hell while she served breakfast to soldiers who didn't know her name. Emma. Chen's voice cut through her thoughts. Stay with us. I'm here. No, you're in your head, blaming yourself, spiraling. Chen leaned forward. Listen to me. What happened in Kandahar wasn't your fault. What's about to happen in Syria, that's your chance to make it right. But only if you stay focused. Emma took a breath, nodded. Reynolds entered the mess hall. Team with me. Final briefing in 5. They followed him to the conference room. The satellite imagery was still up. Emma studied it while others filed in. Ashley Rodriguez arrived last. She looked like she hadn't slept either. Got new intel overnight. Ashley pulled up a document. Russian communications intercepted by NSA. There's chatter about a prisoner transfer, scheduled for 48 hours from now. Emma's blood ran cold. That's our timeline. Exactly. Which means we need to hit the compound in the next 36 hours. Any later, and your team's gone. Reynolds swore under his breath. That moves our window up. We were planning for 60 hours prep time. Plans change, Emma said. We adapt. Chen looked at the others. Everyone good with accelerated timeline? Williams nodded. Thompson gave a thumbs up. Garcia smiled. Let's go get our people, Garcia said. Reynolds pulled up the final operational plan. Insertion via helicopter. We land 3 kilometers east of the compound. Hike in under cover of darkness. Breach the drainage tunnel at 0200 local time. Emma leads the demolition team into the basement. Chen and Garcia provide overwatch from the perimeter. Williams handles communications. Thompson sets up emergency medical station at the exfil point. What about me? Ashley asked. You're staying here, coordinating with intelligence assets. If this goes sideways, we need someone on the outside who can pull strings. Ashley wanted to argue. Emma could see it, but she just nodded. Reynolds continued. Once Emma's team is in position, we have a 30-minute window to locate prisoners, plant charges, and prep for extraction. At 0230, Emma triggers the demolition. The building comes down. In the chaos, we move 23 prisoners through the tunnels to the exfil point. Helicopters extract us at 0300. 60 minutes total, Williams said. From breach to wheels up. 60 minutes to rescue 23 people from a Russian black site. Garcia laughed. Piece of cake. Emma didn't laugh. She was already running through contingencies. What if the charges didn't blow? What if the tunnels were blocked? What if Rodriguez couldn't walk? Mitchell. Reynolds was watching her. You with us? Yes, sir. Good, because I need you sharp. This entire operation hinges on your demolition work. Reynolds' voice softened slightly. Emma, I know this is personal, but I need you to treat it like any other mission. Can you do that? Emma thought about Rodriguez's message, about 18 months of grief, about the kitchen where she'd hidden from herself. No, sir, she said honestly. I can't treat this like any other mission. This is my family. This is everything. Reynolds studied her. Then make sure everything counts. They spent the next hour going over final details, entry points, radio codes, emergency protocols. Emma absorbed it all while her mind calculated blast radios and structural weak points. At EO 800, they loaded into transport vehicles. The drive to the airfield took 30 minutes. Emma sat in silence checking her gear, tactical vest, night vision, weapon, and strapped to her chest 20 pounds of carefully configured explosives. Chen sat beside her. You good? Yeah. Liar. Emma almost smiled. I'm terrified. Better. Much better. Terrified means you're paying attention. Chen checked her own weapon. You know what I'm most scared of? What? That we'll get there and they won't remember us. That 18 months in hell will have broken them so completely that the people we're rescuing aren't the people we knew. Emma's hands stilled on her vest. You think that's possible? I've seen what Russian interrogators can do. I've seen strong operators break after a week. Your team's had 18 months. Chen's voice was quiet. I'm saying, prepare yourself. They might not be the same people who went into Kandahar. Emma hadn't let herself think about that, about what torture could do to a mind, to a soul. Rodriguez is strong, she said. Everyone breaks eventually. Not him, not my team. Emma's voice was firm. They survived this long. They're still fighting. I know it. Chen didn't argue. The helicopters were waiting. 2 Black Hawks, rotors already spinning. Reynolds gathered them on the tarmac. Had to shout over the engine noise. Last chance to walk away. Nobody moved. All right then, let's bring our people home. They boarded. Emma took a seat near the door, strapped in, felt the helicopter lift off. Through the window, she watched Fort Bragg shrink away, watched North Carolina disappear beneath clouds. She was really doing this. After 18 months of planning, 18 months of grief, she was finally going after them. The flight would take 8 hours. Refueling, stop in Germany, then straight into Syria. Emma closed her eyes, tried to rest, couldn't. Her mind kept replaying Kandahar, the fire, the screams, Rodriguez's hand slipping from hers as the building collapsed. She'd thought he was dead, thought they were all dead. But they'd survived. Somehow impossibly they'd survived, and Emma was going to get them out. Hey, Garcia tapped her shoulder. You need to see this. Emma opened her eyes. Garcia was holding a tablet. On-screen live satellite feed of the compound. This is real-time imagery, Garcia said, from 30 minutes ago. Emma studied the screen. Guard rotations looked normal. Vehicles in place, nothing unusual. Then she saw it. Second floor window. Someone had scratched something into the glass. Emma zoomed in. 3 letters, EAG. Eagle. Rodriguez's call sign. He knows we're coming, Emma whispered. How? I messaged him last night. Told him Eagle is coming. Emma looked at Garcia. He's ready. He's preparing the others. Chen leaned over, saw the window. That's ballsy, leaving a message where guards can see it. Rodriguez has never been subtle. Emma felt something lift in her chest. Hope. Real hope. He's telling me exactly where they are. 2nd floor, East Wing. Williams pulled up the compound schematics. East Wing has 6 cells. If all 13 prisoners are there, that's roughly 2 per cell. Plus the 10 others, Thompson added. 23 total. We can extract 23. Emma's mind was already adjusting the plan. We blow the West Wing, draw guards there. While they're distracted, we breach the East Wing cells and move prisoners down the back stairwell. Reynolds had been listening. That's different from the original plan. Original plan assumed prisoners were spread throughout the building. They're not. They're concentrated in one wing. Emma pulled up her demolition calculations. If we adjust the charges, we can bring down the West Wing while keeping the East Wing structurally sound. Gives us more time to extract. Chen nodded slowly. That could work. It will work. Emma's confidence was building. Rodriguez is giving us actionable intelligence. He's preparing the others. He's doing everything he can from the inside. We just need to meet him halfway. Reynolds was quiet for a moment. Then he keyed his radio. All teams be advised. Operational plan is being modified. Primary demolition target is now West Wing only. Prisoner extraction focus is East Wing second floor. Acknowledge. One by one, the team members acknowledged. Emma went back to her calculations. Adjusted charge placements. Recalculated blast radius. The numbers came together perfectly. This is going to work, she said to herself. Damn right it is. Garcia was loading magazines. Because failure's not an option. The helicopter droned on. Emma watched the Atlantic Ocean pass beneath them, watched the sun arc across the sky. She thought about Rodriguez, about the last time she'd seen him. His face covered in blood and soot, his voice hoarse from screaming, his hand reaching for hers through the flames. Don't let go, he'd said, but she had. The explosion had torn them apart. And Emma had woken up 3 days later in a German hospital alone. They'd told her everyone was dead, showed her the casualty reports. The official determination, catastrophic structural failure caused by enemy fire. Total loss. 13 names added to the memorial wall at Fort Bragg, except they weren't dead, and tonight Emma was going to prove it. The helicopter began its descent into Germany. Refueling stop, 30 minutes on the ground. Emma climbed out, stretched her legs. The German airfield was cold and gray. Military personnel moved with quiet efficiency. Chen walked over. You should eat something. Not hungry. Emma, you need fuel. We've got another 4 hours flight time, then immediate operation. You're running on fumes. Emma knew she was right, but her stomach was in knots. Food felt impossible. She forced down an energy bar. Drank water. Tried to ignore the nerves eating at her insides. Williams approached. Just got updated intel from Ashley. Guard rotation changes at 0200. Perfect timing for our breach. Any change to prisoner status? Negative. Thermal imaging still shows 23 heat signatures on second floor East Wing. Williams hesitated. Emma, there's something else. One of the signatures is significantly weaker than the others. Ashley thinks someone might be injured, possibly critically. Emma's chest tightened. Can we tell who? Not from satellite. We'll know when we get there. Williams put a hand on her shoulder. Could be nothing. Could be someone sleeping. Don't borrow trouble. But Emma was already borrowing it. Already imagining Rodriguez bleeding out. Williams with broken ribs. Chen too weak to walk. Stop it. Focus on what you can control. I'm good, Emma said. Let's get back in the air. The second helicopter leg felt longer. Emma watched darkness fall through the window. Watched stars appear. Watched the world shrink to just this moment, this mission. Chen broke the silence. You know what I'm going to do when this is over. What? Take a vacation. Somewhere with a beach. Somewhere nobody's trying to kill me. Chen smiled. Maybe Hawaii or Fiji. Somewhere I can forget that black sites and Russian operatives exist. Sounds nice. You should come, after we get your team out. Chen's voice was gentle. Emma, when this is done, you need to let yourself heal. Really heal. Not just physically. I'll heal when they're safe. That's what I'm afraid of. Chen turned to look at her. You've been surviving for 18 months, waiting for this moment. But after tonight, what are you going to do? Who are you going to be? Emma didn't have an answer. She'd spent so long being the woman who lost her team, the woman who failed, the woman hiding in a kitchen. Who would she be when that was over? I don't know, Emma admitted. Then figure it out, because your team's going to need you, not the Delta operator, not the EOD specialist. You, Emma, the person who cares about them. Chen looked back out the window. Don't lose yourself in the mission. Remember why you're doing this. Emma thought about Rodriguez's terrible jokes, William's patience, Chen's daughter's birthday party, her family. That's why she was doing this. Not for revenge, not for redemption, for them. Thanks, Emma said quietly. Chen nodded. The helicopter began its final approach. The pilot's voice crackled over comms. 15 minutes to drop zone. Prepare for insertion. Emma's hands moved automatically, checking gear, testing equipment, settling into the familiar pre-mission routine. This was it. After 18 months, after endless planning, after grief and rage and desperate hope, this was it. Reynolds stood up, gripped the overhead rail, looked at each team member in turn. Listen up. What we're about to do is dangerous. It's unauthorized. It violates about 40 international laws. If we're captured, the United States government will disavow us. We'll spend the rest of our lives in Russian prisons. He paused. But we're going anyway. Because that's what we do. We don't leave people behind, ever. The team shouted in unison. Hooah! Garcia, Williams, Thompson, you know your jobs. Chen, you're with me on Overwatch. Emma. Reynolds looked at her. Bring them home. Yes, sir. The helicopter descended. Emma felt her heart hammering, felt adrenaline flooding her system, felt every nerve ending come alive. The skids touched ground. Go, go, go! Emma jumped out. Boots hit dirt. She was moving before she consciously decided to move. Training taking over. Muscle memory carrying her forward. The team spread out. Tactical formation. Moving through darkness toward the compound 3 kilometers away. Emma adjusted her night vision. The world turned green. She could see the compound in the distance. Guard towers. Perimeter fence. The prison where her family waited. They moved in silence. Professional. Precise. Every step calculated. 2 kilometers. 1 kilometer. 500 meters. They reached the drainage tunnel entrance. Chen and Garcia peeled off to establish overwatch positions. Reynolds stayed with the main team. Emma knelt by the grate. Examined the lock. Standard Russian military hardware. She pulled out her tools. 2 minutes, she whispered. Williams kept watch. Thompson prepared medical supplies. Reynolds scanned the perimeter through his scope. Emma's hands moved with practiced efficiency. The lock clicked open. We're in. She pulled the grate aside. The tunnel entrance yawned open. Dark. Dangerous. Unknown. Emma switched on her headlamp. Checked her weapon. Felt the weight of explosives against her chest. This was it. No turning back now. She looked at Reynolds. He nodded. Emma descended into the tunnel. The smell hit her first. Decay. Mold. Standing water. She pushed through it. Focused on moving forward. The tunnel stretched ahead. Emma counted her steps. Matched them to her mental map. 100 meters. 200. 300. There. The basement access point. A ladder leading up to a maintenance hatch. Emma climbed. Pressed her ear against the hatch. Listening. Silence. She carefully opened the hatch. Emerged into the compound's basement. Dark. Empty. Exactly as intelligence predicted. Williams followed her up. Then Thompson. Then Reynolds. They moved through the basement. Emma was already identifying structural points. Load-bearing walls. Support columns. Weak points where charges would have maximum effect. Here, she whispered. And here. And here. She began placing charges. C4 pressed against concrete. Detonators carefully inserted. Wires running back to the main trigger. Williams watched the stairwell. Reynolds covered the other entrance. Thompson stayed with Emma, helping with the placement. 10 minutes. 15. 20. Done, Emma whispered. Charges are set. Prisoners, Reynolds asked. Second floor, east wing. We go up the back stairs. Silent entry. Cells should be unlocked from the inside once we disable the security system. Williams pulled out his jammer. On it. He activated the device. Emma watched her tactical watch. Counting down. 30 seconds until security systems went dark. 20 seconds. 10. 5. Now. Move. They went up the stairs. Fast. Quiet. Emma's heart was in her throat. Every step brought her closer to her team, closer to Rodriguez, closer to finding out if 18 months of hope had been justified or if this was all a trap. Second floor, east wing corridor, 6 cell doors. Emma moved to the first one, tested the handle, locked. Williams was already on it. Electronic lockpick, sophisticated, expensive, worth every penny. The lock clicked. Emma pulled the door open. Inside 2 men, gaunt, bearded, eyes wide with shock and terror, but she didn't recognize them. American military, Emma whispered. We're here to extract you. Stay quiet. Follow orders. Understand. They nodded frantically. Emma moved to the next cell. Williams opened it. 2 more men, also strangers. 3rd cell, 4th cell, 5th cell. All strangers, all terrified, all desperate. Emma's chest was tightening. Where was Rodriguez? Where was her team's 6th cell? Last one. Williams picked the lock. Emma pulled the door open. And there he was, Rodriguez. Thinner than she remembered. Beard down to his chest. Scars on his face. But his eyes were still the same. He looked at Emma. Recognition dawned. "Eagle," he whispered. Emma's vision blurred with tears. "Eagle 7. I'm here. I came back." Rodriguez stood on shaky legs. Behind him, Emma saw them. Williams, Chen, Thompson, others from her team. All alive, all broken, all here. "Knew you'd come," Rodriguez said. His voice was hoarse, damaged. Told them Eagle always keeps her promises. Emma wanted to hug him, wanted to break down, wanted to scream, but there wasn't time. "Can you walk?" "We'll crawl if we have to." Rodriguez looked at the others. "Everyone up. Mission's a go. Stay behind Emma. Do exactly what she says." They moved, slowly, painfully, but they moved. Emma led them into the corridor, counted heads, 13 from her team, 10 others, 23 total, all alive, all coming home. Reynolds was at the stairwell. "Charges. On my signal." Emma looked at Rodriguez. "Backstairs, down to the basement, through the tunnel. Can everyone make it?" "They'll make it." Rodriguez's voice was iron. "We didn't survive 18 months to die 20 feet from freedom." Emma keyed her radio. "Chen Garcia, we have the packages, moving to exfil now." Chen's voice crackled back. "Copy. Be advised, guard patrol incoming. You've got maybe 3 minutes before they realize something's wrong." "Understood." Emma looked at her team. At the prisoners she'd spent 18 months grieving. "Let's go home." They moved. They made it down 3 steps before the alarm started screaming. Emma's heart lurched. "Go. Move faster." Rodriguez stumbled. Her Williams caught him. "I got you, brother." Behind them, cell doors were slamming open. Russian voices shouting, boots pounding on concrete. "Emma!" Reynolds was at the rear, weapon up. "They know. Basement now." Emma grabbed one of the weaker prisoners, practically carrying him down the stairs. Her ribs screamed in protest. She ignored them. They hit the basement level. Emma could hear guards coming down from above. Multiple teams, professional, fast. Thompson was helping 2 prisoners who could barely walk. "Emma, these guys can't move any faster. They have to." Emma pushed them toward the tunnel entrance. Started counting heads. 18, 19, 20. Where were the other 3? She looked back up the stairwell, saw Rodriguez supporting Chen, her Chen who was limping badly. Behind them, 1 more prisoner. Male. Older, moving too slow, and behind them, 4 Russian guards rounding the corner, weapons raised. "Down!" Emma screamed. She brought her weapon up, fired 3 rounds. The lead guard dropped. The others dove for cover. Reynolds was beside her, laying down, suppressing fire. "Get them in the tunnel." Emma grabbed Chen as Rodriguez brought her down the last steps. "Can you walk?" "Can I walk, Emma? I can barely stand. They broke both my legs 6 months ago." Chen's face was twisted with pain. "Just leave me. Get the others out." "Not happening." Emma looked at Rodriguez. "Help Reynolds hold them off. I've got Chen." Rodriguez's eyes met hers. Gratitude, trust, fear. "Don't die," he said. "Same to you." Emma threw Chen over her shoulder in a fireman's carry, ignored the agony in her own injured ribs, started moving toward the tunnel. Williams was already there, helping prisoners down the ladder. 21, where are the others? Coming. Emma could hear gunfire behind her. Reynolds and Rodriguez holding the stairwell, buying them time. She reached the tunnel entrance, lowered Chen carefully. Williams, take her. I'm going back. Emma. Now. Emma turned back. Saw the last prisoner, the older man, frozen halfway across the basement. Too scared to move. Too broken to think clearly. And guards were pouring down the stairwell. Reynolds and Rodriguez were falling back. Out of ammunition. Out of time. Emma ran. She covered the distance in seconds. Grabbed the frozen prisoner. With me, move your ass. He moved. Emma half dragged him toward the tunnel. Saw Reynolds dive through the entrance. Saw Rodriguez right behind him. Guards were 20 feet away. 10 feet. 5 feet. Emma shoved the prisoner at the tunnel opening. Go. He went down. A guard grabbed Emma's vest, yanked her backward. She spun, drove her elbow into his throat. He gasped, released her. Emma kicked his knee sideways. Heard it pop. He went down screaming. Another guard came at her. Emma ducked under his punch. Came up with a knife she'd pulled from her vest. Drove it into his thigh. Twisted. Pulled it out. He fell. Rodriguez was screaming at her from the tunnel. Emma! Come on! More guards were coming. Too many. Emma could see them flooding the basement. 12. 24. She pulled the detonator from her vest, the trigger for all the charges she'd planted. Reynolds saw it. His face went white. Mitchell, don't you dare! Emma looked at Rodriguez, memorized his face, his eyes. Get them out, she said. That's an order. Emma, no. She pressed the button. The charges detonated. Not all at once. Emma had timed them in sequence, West Wing first. The explosion ripped through the building's far side. Structural supports disintegrated. The entire western section collapsed inward with a sound like the end of the world. Guards stumbled. Ceiling tiles fell. Pipes burst. Water everywhere. Smoke. Chaos. Emma dove for the tunnel. Hands grabbed her. Rodriguez and Reynolds pulling her down. They fell together into the tunnel as the second wave of charges went off. The basement ceiling came down. Not completely. Not where they were. But enough. Enough to bury the tunnel entrance under tons of concrete and rebar. They were sealed in. Emma landed hard, her vision blurred. She tasted blood. Couldn't tell if it was hers or from the dust choking the air. Everyone alive. Reynolds' voice. Rough, commanding. Voices called back. Affirmative. All accounted for. Then move. This tunnel leads to the exit point 300 meters east. Go. Emma tried to stand. Her legs wouldn't cooperate. Rodriguez grabbed her arm. Come on, Eagle. Almost home. Emma focused. Got her feet under her. Started moving. The tunnel was tight. Water up to their ankles. The prisoners were struggling. Some had to crawl. Others leaned on the stronger operators. Emma's headlamp illuminated Rodriguez's face beside her. God, he looked terrible. 18 months of hell written in every scar, every hollow in his cheeks, every gray hair that hadn't been there before. You came back, he said quietly. I knew you would, but part of me thought I never stopped looking. Emma's voice cracked. They told me you were dead, all of you, but I knew. I felt it. You were alive. Emma. Rodriguez stopped walking, turned to face her. We need to talk about Kandahar, about what we found. Not now. We have to. Yes, now. Because if we don't make it out of here, you need to know. Rodriguez grabbed her shoulders. The safe house. The photos you saw. That Russian officer. His name is Colonel Viktor Petrov. He's running a chemical weapons program in Syria. Nerve agents. New generation. Untraceable. Emma's blood ran cold. How do you know? Because our informant wasn't fake. He was real. He was trying to defect. He had proof of the program. Names. Locations. Test results. Rodriguez's eyes were intense. We got the intel, Emma. All of it. Right before the building exploded. I saved it to an encrypted drive. Buried it in the rubble. Where? North wall, 3 meters from the entrance. Marked with our team symbol. Rodriguez coughed, blood on his lips. That's why they've been hunting us. That's why they couldn't kill us. They don't know if we memorized the data, if we made copies. They've been interrogating us for 18 months trying to find out. Emma felt the weight of it. Did anyone break? No. Everyone held. Rodriguez smiled grimly. Delta doesn't break. Not for these bastards. Ahead of them, Williams, the new Williams, called back. Exit point. I see daylight. Thank God. They emerged from the tunnel one by one. The prisoners first, then the operators. Finally, Emma and Rodriguez. Emma breathed fresh air, saw stars overhead, felt grass under her boots. They'd made it. Chen, the Delta. Chen, not her. Chen was waiting with Garcia. Everyone accounted for 23 prisoners, 4 operators. Reynolds did a quick head count. We're good. Where's our ride? Incoming, Chen pointed. 2 minutes out. Emma could hear them now. The helicopters. Beautiful sound. She looked back at the compound. The western half was completely destroyed, flames reaching into the night sky. The eastern half was damaged but standing, and somewhere in the chaos, Russian guards were scrambling, calling for backup, trying to figure out what the hell just happened. We need to move, Garcia said. Russian air support will be here in 10 minutes, maybe less. Rodriguez was leaning on Thompson. The medic was checking his vitals. He needs immediate evacuation. They all do. Malnutrition, dehydration, multiple untreated injuries. This guy's got broken ribs that never healed properly. Can they fly? They don't have a choice. The helicopters descended. Dust kicked up everywhere. Emma shielded her eyes, watched as Chen and Garcia started loading prisoners. Reynolds grabbed Emma's arm. That was insane. What you did back there, the charges, the timing. Did it work? You collapsed an entire building and got everyone out alive. Yeah, it worked. Reynolds' expression was complicated. But Emma, you almost didn't make it. If Rodriguez hadn't pulled you into that tunnel, but he did, and I'm here. Emma pulled away gently. Sir, we need to talk about Petrov, about the chemical weapons program. Rodriguez says, save it for debrief. Right now, we fly. Reynolds pushed her toward the helicopter. Go, that's an order. Emma climbed aboard, found a seat next to Chen, her Chen, the woman she'd thought was dead, the friend she'd grieved. Chen's hand found hers, squeezed weakly. 18 months, Chen whispered. 18 months I thought I'd never see anything but concrete walls and Russian interrogators. Emma squeezed back. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry it took me this long. Emma, you came. That's all that matters. Chen's eyes were wet. Some of us lost hope. Thought we'd die in that place. But Rodriguez kept saying Emma's out there. Emma's coming. He never stopped believing. Emma looked across the helicopter at Rodriguez. He was slumped against Williams' eyes closed, barely conscious, but alive. So alive. The helicopter lifted off. Emma watched the compound shrink below, watched Russian vehicles racing toward it. Too late. Always too late. They'd done it. Against every odd, against every rational assessment. They'd pulled off the impossible. Garcia sat down next to Emma. Hell of a mission. Yeah. You know the political shitstorm this is going to cause. Unauthorized raid on Syrian soil. Dead Russian intelligence officers. Destroyed military facility. Garcia grinned. We're either getting medals or court-martialed. Maybe both. Emma didn't care. She'd gotten her team back. Everything else was details. Thompson moved through the helicopter checking each prisoner. IV lines, pain medication, basic triage. His hands moved with practiced efficiency even as the helicopter pitched and rolled. Williams. The new Williams was on the radio, coordinating with command, arranging medical facilities, setting up security protocols for the debrief. Reynolds sat near the cockpit watching everything, making mental notes, already planning how to explain this to generals and politicians who would demand answers. Emma closed her eyes. Let exhaustion wash over her. For the first time in 18 months, she could rest, really rest, because her family was safe. Emma, Rodriguez's voice, weak but insistent. She opened her eyes, moved over to him. What is it? The data, from Kandahar. We have to retrieve it. Rodriguez gripped her hand. Petrov's program. If that nerve agent gets deployed, I'll handle it. After debrief, after medical, after everyone's safe. Emma smoothed hair back from his forehead. Rest now. You've earned it. Rodriguez's eyes started to close, then snapped open again. One more thing. Williams. You're Williams. He's the one who got the message out, the one that led you to us. Emma felt her throat tighten. How? Bribed a guard. Took him 3 months to arrange. Nearly got himself killed doing it. Rodriguez smiled faintly. He said Emma needs to know we're alive. Emma needs to know we're fighting, because if Emma knows, she'll move heaven and earth to find us. He was right. He always is. That's why he's the best comms specialist we ever had. Rodriguez's eyes finally closed. Bring him home, Emma. Bring all of us home. I already did. The flight to the German medical facility took 4 hours. Emma spent most of it watching her team, cataloging injuries, making mental notes of who needed what. Chen's legs would require surgery, multiple surgeries. Rodriguez had internal damage from repeated beatings. Williams had lost 3 fingers on his left hand. Her Thompson had a scar that ran from his ear to his collarbone. Knife wound. Poorly healed. All of them were malnourished. All of them bore the marks of systematic torture. All of them had survived when survival should have been impossible. They landed at Ramstein Air Base. Medical personnel swarmed the helicopters. Stretchers, IVs, organized chaos of emergency medicine. Emma watched them take Rodriguez away. Watched Chen disappear into the hospital. Watched her entire team get swallowed by the medical system. Reynolds appeared at her elbow. Your turn. I'm fine. Emma, you took an explosion yesterday and ran a combat mission tonight. You're not fine. You're standing upright through sheer force of will. Reynolds gestured at the waiting medics. Hospital, now. That's not a request. Emma wanted to argue, but her body was shutting down. The adrenaline was gone. The mission was complete. She had nothing left to run on. Okay. They put her in a wheelchair. Emma wanted to protest, but couldn't find the energy. The hospital was bright, clean, everything the Russian prison wasn't. A doctor examined her, prodded her ribs, checked her pupils, ran tests. Cracked ribs, concussion, severe exhaustion, multiple contusions. The doctor typed notes. You should be in bed for a week minimum. Can't. I need to debrief. You need rest. I need to debrief. Emma sat up despite the pain. My team has intelligence on a Russian chemical weapons program. People will die if we don't act fast. The doctor looked at Reynolds. Reynolds nodded. 4 hours, the doctor said firmly. She gets 4 hours rest. Then you can have her for your debrief. But after that, she's mine for a week. Understood? Understood. They put Emma in a private room, gave her pain medication, told her to sleep. Emma closed her eyes, but sleep wouldn't come. Her mind was racing. Chemical weapons. Colonel Petrov. The encrypted data buried in Kandahar rubble. Her phone buzzed. Ashley Rodriguez. Emma, holy hell, you actually did it. We did it. Emma's voice was hoarse. All 23 extracted, everyone alive. I'm hearing the compound was completely destroyed. Russian military is scrambling. Syrian government is demanding answers. This is huge, Emma. I know. But Ashley, there's more. Rodriguez, my Rodriguez, he told me about Kandahar. About what they found. Emma explained about Petrov. About the chemical weapons program. About the buried data. Ashley was silent for a long moment. Emma, if this is real, if we can prove a Russian colonel is developing nerve agents in Syria. It's real. Rodriguez doesn't lie. Not about this. Then we need that data. The encrypted drive. Where exactly is it? North wall of the Kandahar safe house. 3 meters from the entrance. Marked with our team symbol, a delta triangle with an eagle. Emma, that building burned down 18 months ago. The site's been cleared. There's nothing left. There's rubble. The basement survived partially. The drive will be there. It's military grade. Designed to survive fire-water explosives. Rodriguez wouldn't have hidden it there if he thought it could be destroyed. Ashley was typing. I'll coordinate with intelligence assets in Kabul. See if we can get a recovery team to the site. Tell them to hurry. Petrov knows we escaped. He knows Rodriguez talked. He'll move the program, change locations. We have maybe 48 hours before the trail goes cold. I'm on it. Ashley paused. Emma, you did good. You brought them home. Against impossible odds. You brought them home. Emma's eyes burned. Not good enough. Not until Petrov pays for what he did. He will. I promise you that. Ashley's voice hardened. This investigation just became international. When the world finds out about those nerve agents, Petrov won't have anywhere to hide. They hung up. Emma stared at the ceiling, thought about Rodriguez and Chen and Williams and all the others lying in hospital beds down the hall, thought about 18 months of torture they'd endured, 18 months of holding on to hope when hope seemed impossible. Someone knocked on her door. Come in. Reynolds entered. Behind him was someone Emma didn't expect, a woman in her 50s, sharp eyes, expensive suit, the kind of person who made decisions that changed the world. Emma Mitchell, the woman said. I'm Director Sarah Collins, Defense Intelligence Agency. I oversee Agent Rodriguez and several other operations in this region. Emma tried to sit up straighter. Ma'am, at ease. You've had a long night. Collins pulled up a chair, sat down like they were having coffee, not discussing an international incident. Colonel Reynolds briefed me on your mission. Unauthorized extraction of 23 prisoners from a Russian black site. Quite impressive. We did what needed to be done. Indeed. And in the process, you may have uncovered the intelligence coup of the decade. Collins leaned forward. Tell me about Colonel Viktor Petrov. Emma told her everything. The photos in the Kandahar safe house, the informant who tried to defect, the chemical weapons program, the encrypted drive buried in the rubble. Collins listened without interrupting. When Emma finished, she was quiet for a long moment. If this is verified, Collins said slowly, it could change everything. Russia's been denying chemical weapons development for years. This would prove they're lying. It would justify sanctions, military action, complete reshaping of Middle East policy. I'm not interested in politics. Emma's voice was flat. I'm interested in stopping Petrov from killing more people, from torturing more prisoners, from getting away with what he did to my team. I understand, and I promise you Petrov will face justice. But Emma, justice at this level moves slowly. It requires evidence, verification, international cooperation. Collins stood. I'm authorizing a recovery mission to Kandahar. We'll retrieve that encrypted drive. We'll analyze the data. And if it's as damaging as you believe, we'll move against Petrov with every resource at our disposal. How long? Weeks, maybe months. Building a case like this takes time. Emma wanted to scream, wanted to grab Collins and shake her, make her understand that every day Petrov was free was another day he could hurt people. But she was so tired, too tired to fight. Okay, Emma said, but I want updates. Every step of the way. This is my team, my mission. I deserve to know. Agreed. Collins headed for the door, paused. Emma, what you did tonight was extraordinary. You saved 23 lives. You exposed a war criminal. You proved that Delta Force takes care of its own no matter what. She met Emma's eyes. Your team is lucky to have you. She left. Reynolds stayed, sat in the chair Collins had vacated. You should rest. Everyone keeps saying that. Emma closed her eyes. I don't know how to rest anymore. I spent 18 months in survival mode, mission mode. I don't know how to just be. You'll learn. They'll teach you. Reynolds gestured toward the door, toward where Emma's team was recovering. Because they're going to need you, Emma, not as an operator, not as EOD, as a friend, as family, as the person who never gave up on them. Emma thought about Chen's broken legs, about Rodriguez's internal injuries, about all the months of physical therapy and psychological counseling ahead of them. What if I'm not enough? What if you are enough? You already proved that. Reynolds stood. Get some rest. That's an order. When you wake up, your team will still be here. And so will I. And we'll figure out the next steps together. He left. Emma was alone with her thoughts, with the silence, with the weight of everything that had happened in the past 48 hours. She'd gone from a kitchen worker serving breakfast to a Delta operator who'd destroyed a Russian black site and rescued 23 prisoners. She'd found her family, brought them home, given them a second chance at life. And now she had to help them learn how to live again. Emma's phone buzzed one more time, text from an unknown number. Thank you for bringing my dad home. I'm 10 years old now. He missed my last 2 birthdays, but he's coming to my next one. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Lily Chen. Emma's vision blurred. Tears ran down her face. She didn't try to stop them. Chen's daughter. The little girl in the birthday photos. The reason Chen had kept fighting for 18 months. Emma texted back, Your dad never stopped talking about you. He's a hero, and he's coming home because of you. You gave him a reason to survive. She set the phone down, closed her eyes, and finally let herself sleep. When Emma woke, Rodriguez was standing in her doorway, leaning on crutches, looking like hell, but smiling. Heard you've been sleeping for 12 hours. Figured someone should check if you're still alive. Emma sat up. Rodriguez, you should be in bed. I've been in bed for 18 months. I'm done with beds. He hobbled into the room, sat down heavily. Emma, I need to tell you something. What? Rodriguez's expression turned serious. When we were in that prison, when things got bad, when some of us wanted to give up, you know what kept us going? Emma shook her head. The thought that somewhere out there Emma Mitchell was looking for us, that you hadn't forgotten, that you'd move heaven and earth to find us. Rodriguez's voice cracked. We were right. You did exactly that. You saved us, Emma. All of us. Emma felt tears threatening again. I should have found you sooner. You found us exactly when you needed to, not a day earlier, not a day later. Rodriguez reached out, took her hand. Welcome home, Eagle 7. Emma squeezed his hand. Welcome home. 3 weeks later, Emma stood in front of Fort Bragg's memorial wall, the same wall where 13 names had been carved 18 months ago. The names of operators declared dead, heroes who'd supposedly died in the line of duty, except they hadn't died. Emma traced Rodriguez's name with her finger. The carved letters felt cold under her touch. They're removing them next week, Colonel Reynolds said behind her. Official ceremony, press coverage, the whole production. Good. Emma didn't turn around. These names don't belong here. These men and women are alive. Thanks to you. Emma finally turned. Reynolds looked older than he had 3 weeks ago. The unauthorized mission had cost him. She could see it in the new lines around his eyes, the gray spreading through his hair. Have you heard from Director Collins? Emma asked. Every day. The recovery team found the encrypted drive exactly where Rodriguez said it would be, 3 meters from the north wall, marked with your team symbol. Reynolds pulled out his phone, showed Emma a photo, a small metal device. Scorched, damaged, but intact. Emma's breath caught. Does it work? The data's readable, partially corrupted but enough to build a case. Reynolds' expression hardened. Emma, what your team found, it's worse than we thought. Petrov isn't just developing nerve agents. He's been testing them. On prisoners. On civilians. The body count is in the hundreds. Emma felt sick. When do we move on him? That's complicated. Petrov's well-connected, Russian military, political allies. Taking him down requires international cooperation, diplomatic channels, evidence so airtight that even his allies can't protect him. How long? Reynolds hesitated. 6 months, maybe longer. That's too long. He could kill hundreds more people in 6 months. I know. But Emma, we're talking about accusing a Russian colonel of war crimes. That's not something we rush. Reynolds put his phone away. Collins is building the case, gathering witnesses, coordinating with international courts. When we move, it'll be final. Petrov will never hurt anyone again. Emma wanted to argue, wanted to grab a weapon and go after Petrov herself, but she was so tired of fighting, so tired of carrying rage that burned like acid in her chest. What about my team? How are they recovering? Better than expected. Chen had surgery on both legs yesterday. Doctors say she'll walk again, maybe even run. Reynolds smiled slightly. She's already demanding physical therapy. Says she's not spending another day in a hospital bed. That sounds like Chen. Williams got fitted for prosthetics. 3 fingers. He's adapting quickly. Says he can still type faster than anyone else in communications. Reynolds' smile faded. Rodriguez is struggling. Physically, he's healing. But mentally, Emma, 18 months of torture leaves marks that don't show up on x-rays. Emma had seen it. The way Rodriguez's hands shook when he thought no one was watching. The nightmares that left him screaming in the middle of the night. The way he flinched at sudden noises. He needs time. He needs help. Professional help. Reynolds met her eyes. They all do. And Emma, so do you. I'm fine. No, you're not. You spent 18 months in survival mode, mission mode. You achieved your objective, brought your team home. But now, what? Who are you when the mission's over? Chen had asked her the same question 3 weeks ago. Emma still didn't have an answer. I don't know, she admitted. Then figure it out. Because your team's going to need you. Not Delta Operator Emma, not EOD Specialist Emma, just Emma. The person who cares about them enough to move heaven and earth. Reynolds walked away, left Emma alone with the memorial wall and 13 names that would soon be removed. Emma's phone buzzed. Text from Rodriguez. Hospital cafeteria, now. Mandatory team meeting. Emma almost smiled. Rodriguez was recovering if he was ordering people around again. She found them gathered around a table in the corner. Rodriguez, Chen in her wheelchair, Williams with his new prosthetics, Thompson with his healing scar, 7 others from the team, 10 total. The 3 who'd been most severely injured were still in intensive care. They all looked up when Emma entered. About time, Rodriguez said. We've been waiting 20 minutes. I was at the memorial wall. Yeah, we figured. Chen gestured at an empty chair. Sit. We need to talk. Emma sat, looked at each face. Her family. Alive. Healing. Here. What's this about? Rodriguez leaned forward. We've been talking. About what happens next, about where we go from here. You focus on recovery, physical therapy, counseling, getting your lives back. That's the problem. Williams spoke up. His voice was hoarse, damaged vocal cords from repeated interrogation. What lives, Emma? We were declared dead. Our families held funerals. Our careers ended. Everything we were, it's gone. Emma felt the weight of his words. She hadn't thought about that, about what it meant to come back from the dead. The military will reinstate you. Back pay. Full benefits. You'll get everything you're owed. We don't want back pay. Chen's voice was firm. We want purpose. Emma, for 18 months, the only thing that kept us alive was each other. The team. The mission. The knowledge that we mattered. Her eyes were intense. We need that again. We need to matter. You do matter. Then prove it. Rodriguez pulled out a folder, set it on the table. Director Collins offered us a deal. All of us. Contract positions with DIA, hunting war criminals, tracking terrorist cells, going after people like Petrov who think they're untouchable. Emma stared at the folder. What kind of contract? Off-books operations, deniable missions, the kind of work that needs doing but can't go through official channels. Rodriguez met her eyes. Collins wants you to lead the team. Says you proved yourself in Syria, proved you can plan impossible missions and bring everyone home alive. Emma's mind was racing. Another mission. Another fight. Another chance to put bad people in the ground. What did you tell her? That we'd only do it if you're in. Chen reached across the table, took Emma's hand. Emma, we're not going back to regular Delta operations. We're not pretending the last 18 months didn't happen. We're moving forward together, as a team, but only if you lead us. Emma looked at each face, saw hope, determination, trust. These people had survived hell. They'd held on when holding on should have been impossible. They'd kept faith that Emma would find them. And now they were asking her to keep fighting, keep leading, keep being the person who never gave up. I need to think about it, Emma said. Fair enough. Rodriguez closed the folder. But Emma, think fast. Collins needs an answer in 48 hours. After that, she's moving forward with or without us. The meeting broke up. Emma stayed at the table, staring at the folder. Thompson sat down across from her. You're scared. I'm not. Yes, you are. I can see it. Thompson's voice was gentle. You're scared that if you say yes, you'll lose yourself in the mission again, that you'll become the person who only exists to complete objectives. Emma didn't deny it. What if I'm not enough? What if I make a mistake and people die? Then we die knowing we were doing something that mattered. Emma, for 18 months, I was beaten, starved, tortured. You know what the worst part was? Thompson's eyes were wet, feeling useless, feeling like my life had no purpose beyond suffering. When you came through that cell door, you gave me my purpose back. You reminded me I'm a warrior, a protector, someone who makes a difference. Thompson, don't take that away from us. Don't tell us to sit in hospital rooms and heal when we could be out there stopping people like Petrov. We're not victims, Emma. We're survivors. And survivors fight back. He left. Emma sat there alone, thinking, weighing options, trying to figure out who she wanted to be. Her phone buzzed. Ashley Rodriguez. Emma, we got him. Emma's heart stopped. Petrov. International arrest warrant just went through. German authorities picked him up an hour ago. He was at a conference in Berlin, walked right into our trap. Ashley's voice was triumphant. He's being extradited to The Hague. War Crimes Tribunal. The evidence from that encrypted drive, Emma, it's ironclad. He's going to prison for the rest of his life. Emma felt something loosen in her chest. The rage she'd been carrying for 18 months. The need for vengeance. It didn't disappear, but it transformed into something else. Something like justice. What about his program, the chemical weapons? Syrian government's cooperating. UN inspectors are moving in. The facility's being dismantled. Every piece of evidence preserved for trial. Ashley paused. Emma, you did this. You and your team. You stopped a war criminal. Saved countless lives. That's worth something. Yeah, it is. Collins told me about the job offer, the contract team. You thinking about taking it? Emma looked at the folder on the table. I don't know. Well, let me make it easier. I'm joining the team too. Collins offered me lead investigator position. Someone needs to keep you operators from doing anything too crazy. Emma almost laughed. You think you can handle us? I handled you at Fort Bragg. Survived 18 months undercover with Russian operatives. I think I can manage a team of Delta operators. Ashley's voice softened. Emma, these people trust you. They believe in you. Don't let fear stop you from being who you're meant to be. They hung up. Emma picked up the folder, opened it, read the contract details. Special Operations Task Force. Hunting war criminals. Operating in denied areas. Going after targets that conventional military couldn't touch. High risk. High reward. No glory. No recognition. Just the satisfaction of knowing they were making the world safer. Emma thought about the kitchen where she'd spent 18 months. The breakfast eggs. The long sleeves hiding her tattoo. The woman who'd made herself invisible because she couldn't bear to be seen. That woman was gone. Emma pulled out her phone. dialed Reynolds. Mitchell, made a decision. I'm taking the contract. All of us are. We're forming the task force. Reynolds was quiet for a moment. You sure? Positive. These people survived hell. They deserve a chance to fight back, to make a difference, to prove that what they went through meant something. Then I'll tell Collins. She'll have everything ready within the week. Reynolds paused. Emma, I'm proud of you. You went from a kitchen worker no one noticed to the leader of the most elite team in American intelligence. That's one hell of a journey. It's not over yet. No, it's just beginning. Emma ended the call, went back to the hospital room where her team was waiting. They looked up when she entered. Well, Rodriguez asked. Emma held up the folder. We're in. All of us. We start training in 2 weeks. The room erupted. Chen whooped from her wheelchair. Williams punched the air. Thompson grinned so wide it looked painful. Rodriguez stood, walked over to Emma, pulled her into a hug. Thank you, he whispered, for everything, for never giving up, for finding us, for giving us this. Emma hugged him back, felt 18 months of grief and rage finally release. We're family, she said. Family doesn't give up. The next morning, Emma returned to Fort Bragg's memorial wall one last time. A work crew was there, preparing to remove the 13 names. Emma watched them work, watched Rodriguez's name disappear, then Chen's, then Williams. One by one, the names came down. Someone walked up beside her. Emma turned. It was Chen's daughter, Lily, 10 years old, holding her father's hand. Her Chen looked down at Lily. This is Emma. She's the one who brought me home. Lily looked up at Emma, then threw her arms around Emma's waist, held on tight. Thank you, Lily whispered. Thank you for bringing my dad back. Emma's eyes burned. She knelt down, looked Lily in the eyes. Your dad never stopped fighting to get back to you. Every day, every minute, you were the reason he survived. Emma touched Lily's cheek. Be proud of him. He's a hero. Lily nodded, wiped her eyes. Chen put his hand on Emma's shoulder. We're having a barbecue this weekend. The whole team. Their families. You should come. I don't want to intrude. You're family, Emma. You don't intrude. Chen smiled. Besides, Rodriguez promised to make his famous ribs. You can't miss that. Emma laughed. Actually laughed. For the first time in 18 months. Okay, I'll be there. The memorial wall was empty now. The names were gone. In their place, workers were installing a new plaque. Emma read it. In honor of the 13 Delta Force operators who survived 18 months as prisoners of war. Their courage, resilience, and unwavering commitment to each other exemplify the highest ideals of American service. They remind us that no one is left behind, not ever. Below the words, a symbol, the Delta Triangle with an eagle, their team symbol. Emma traced it with her finger, felt pride swell in her chest. They'd survived. They'd come home. They'd proven that hope was stronger than despair. That family was stronger than torture. That love was stronger than hate. Rodriguez appeared beside her. Nice plaque. Yeah, it is. You know what's even nicer? Rodriguez pointed across the base, at the training grounds. That's where we start preparing for our next mission. Director Collins sent over files last night. 3 targets, all war criminals, all hiding in places they think are safe. Emma looked at him. You ready for this? Emma, I've been ready since you pulled me out of that cell. Rodriguez's eyes were fierce. I'm done being a victim, done being defined by what happened to me. I'm taking my life back. We all are. Emma nodded. Then let's get to work. They walked together toward the training grounds. Behind them, the memorial wall stood empty, a testament to courage, to survival, to the bonds that couldn't be broken. Emma's phone buzzed one more time. Text from Director Collins. First mission briefing tomorrow, 0600. Target Russian colonel operating in Eastern Europe. High value, high risk. Your team's specialty. Welcome to the task force, Emma. Let's change the world. Emma showed the text to Rodriguez. He smiled. Here we go again. Here we go again. They kept walking, not as the broken survivors who'd emerged from that tunnel 3 weeks ago, but as warriors, as a family, as a team that had stared into hell and refused to blink. Emma thought about the kitchen worker she'd been, the woman who'd hidden behind long sleeves and quiet servitude. That woman had been necessary. She'd kept Emma safe while she planned, while she prepared, while she waited for her moment. But that woman was gone now. Emma Mitchell wasn't hiding anymore. She wasn't waiting. She wasn't surviving. She was living, fighting, leading. And anyone who thought they could hurt her family, anyone who thought they could get away with war crimes and torture and murder, they were about to learn a very simple lesson. Delta Force takes care of its own, and Emma Mitchell never left anyone behind. The tattoo on her forearm read 847, successful disposals, lives saved, bombs defused. But Emma knew the real number that mattered was 13. 13 people who'd survived the impossible. 13 people who'd trusted her to find them. 13 people who were home because one woman refused to accept that they were dead. Emma touched the tattoo, felt the raised ink under her fingers. Soon she'd add a new number, 848, for the mission in Syria, for the building she'd brought down, for the rescue that shouldn't have worked but did. And after that, there would be more numbers, more missions, more lives saved, because that's what Emma Mitchell did. She saved people. She brought them home. She never gave up. And she never would. Rodriguez bumped her shoulder as they walked. You okay? Emma looked at her team, her family, the people who'd survived hell and come back stronger. Yeah, she said. I'm more than okay. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. They entered the training facility together, ready for whatever came next, ready to face down war criminals and terrorists and anyone else who thought they could hide from justice. The quiet kitchen worker who served breakfast at Fort Bragg was gone. In her place stood Emma Mitchell, Delta Force operator, war hero, the woman who'd moved heaven and earth to bring her family home. And she was just getting started.